I want to make this video talking about problems and like how to deal with problems or how to handle problems as a human being. Now, I've made videos talking about this, very similar topic, like creating art will solve all your problems, or fixing society's problems, or just talking about loneliness, talking about, just different things that we deal with as a human being. And I want to make this video because, I mentioned him before, but I had a friend who told me that he was dealing with problems, and I didn't ask him if he wanted to talk about it, and I didn't ask him about his problems. And he said he was dealing with problems, and I just thought maybe he wanted to get his mind off of things, and so I'll just talk about anything else except his problems and just take the focus off of his problems. Now, I don't think I should have done that, but that's what I did back then, because I could be a terrible listener, and I just don't think that, I could try to offer the best advice, but I feel like I should have asked him. But yeah, I didn't ask him about his problems, and I thought that he wouldn't. But I could also see myself as a terrible listener. I could see myself, the advice or the solutions that I might offer might not be the best. And even if I do offer a solution, I feel like a lot of people don't want to hear it, and they just want someone to listen to their problems, which is fine. I can be someone to listen to, but I didn't even give him the chance or the option for me to listen to his problems, because I didn't ask him about it and ask him if he wanted to talk about it. And now when people tell me things that they're dealing, like I'm dealing with a problem, or I got this going on, or I ask people how they're doing, and they're like not too great, dealing with something, I try to ask them, hey, do you want to talk about it? I mean, sometimes people don't, but just asking people, hey, do you want to talk about it? It makes me feel better asking that, and I feel like it makes the other person feel better, because if they don't want to talk about it, they could just ignore me, or they could just say, no, I don't want to talk about it, and that's fine. But I feel like a lot of people don't get asked that, hey, do you want to talk about it? And especially after the guy I was talking about, who told me he was dealing with problems, and I didn't ask him about it, and especially him, I wish I would have asked him if he wanted to talk about his problems, but I didn't. But going forward though, every time someone brings up something to me that they're dealing with something or whatever, I just want to ask them if they want to talk about it. Because I'm sure if I would have asked him, hey, do you want to talk about your problems? Because like I said, I don't think people get asked that a lot. I feel like it would have made him feel better. Even if he didn't want to talk about it, he could have said, no, I don't want to talk about it, but thank you for asking. Or he didn't have to, he wouldn't even have to thank me, but I'm sure he would appreciate me just asking him if he wants to talk about it. And I do want to learn how to be a better listener and help people with their problems, and learn how to be better at helping people with their problems. But I don't know, I'm someone that, I've talked to, I used to be someone where I didn't want to talk about my problems. I would just keep it aside because I thought it would make me more masculine, maybe, you would see me more as masculine, or you would see me more as like stoic, or I'm like poker face, you can't really tell what I'm dealing with. And I'm just a man, I keep it all to myself, and I'll deal with it on myself. But then I got to I was like, eventually I just got tired of just keeping it inside, and when people ask how I'm doing, I just tell them, hey, I got, the owner of the house that I live at, he's, threatened to sell the house, and I might have to find a new place to live. That might not be a comfortable topic to talk about at work, but hey, they asked me, hey, what's going on in your life? Are you doing all right? So I'll tell them, hey, no, I'm upset about this thing, or I'm upset that my mom kicked me out. My mom kicked me out for, me talking about these things, that could look, people view that as trauma dumping, or, bringing emotional issues or, outside baggage into workspace, and that cannot be allowed. But if someone is coming up to you and asking you, hey, how are you doing, just checking on you, I feel like that gives me the opportunity Unless it's just like, hey, what's up, man? Like, just a quick way by. But sometimes people are genuinely like, hey, man, you doing all right? What's going on? And so then I just like, yeah, I just tell them. And then I got to, I could find certain, I could tell once you get comfortable with talking about your problems with people. Now, I will say, talking about your problems will not solve all your problems. Now, talking about it can help you vent and help you relieve yourself from the stress of, thinking about the problem too much. And, you can let some of that, relieve yourself from some of that just by talking to someone about it. Even if they don't give you any advice, even if they just listen to you, that can just help you feel better by, letting some of that out. And so, but dude, sometimes you can tell someone about the problem that you're dealing with and they can offer you a solution or give you some advice that you would have never thought of. And you needed them, and you could be glad that you shared the problem with them. And so I got so comfortable sharing my problems that I could tell which coworkers I could talk to my problems about and which ones I can't. And so, pick and choose your battles, or, just, learn people and learn what people are okay talking about, and learn, because some people are okay talking about, hey, how's your mom doing and stuff like that at work. And some people aren't. Some people, they just want to talk about sports and, how was the game last night, and that's it, man. They don't want to talk about, hey, how's your mom doing? They don't want to hear that. And that's fine. We're here to work and make money and, clock out, and, we don't have to have that kind of bond. But some coworkers, they want to know what's going on in your life. And then, I feel like I should ask more people, because I got a roommate, and he was my coworker, but he asked a lot about my mom and my family and stuff like that. And I appreciate it, because I feel like sometimes I don't have a lot of people asking me about my family. How's my mom doing? How's my sister doing? And to have him do that, I very much appreciate him doing that. But I feel like I don't do that to other people. Hey, because it seems odd to me to ask someone, how's your family doing? How's your, mom doing, everything? That just seems odd. But sometimes people like hearing those questions, like me. Like, I like telling him, hey, by the way, I just talked to my mom at Easter. Last time I talked to my mom was on Easter. And, we had we had a long conversation. And, I told her about, going to church and me getting baptized. And, we talked about that. And, I just shared that conversation with him. Because some people, and we're comfortable enough to where I could tell them, about my mom. And he's met my mom before, so it's like, we have that kind of bond. But some people at your work, when they ask, like, how's your mom doing, you don't really know them that well, they just mean, like, is she doing all right? Is she sick? Or, like, how that's just, like, a genuine question. Because some people, I don't know, sometimes it's not, oh, yeah, she's doing all right, and then blah, 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 blah. And, you could just, slide it off. But then sometimes you could say, man, dude, I just found out my mom's in the hospital. She's dealing with this, whatever. And, I'm just kind of worried about her. But, I just hope that she, okay. Or she got in a car accident. And, I'm just kind of, hope that she can make it and she's not, injured too much. I could have that conversation with my coworker. Even if he just asked me how I'm doing. And not even just directly about my mom. But, I could, if something like that happened. Or even if it's not like that. Let's just say, I think Mother's Day's coming up. Let's just say Mother's Day. Let's just say it's after Mother's Day, and a coworker asked me, they just talking about what I did for Mother's Day, or what they did for Mother's Day. And I was like, oh yeah, I gave my mom this gift for Mother's Day. Now I don't know what I'm gonna give my mom for Mother's Day, but I try to think of something. But just sharing that, it doesn't even gotta be a negative thing that she's in the hospital or whatever. You could just say, and my mom works at the hospital, so. And I could just mention that, my mom's doing great, she's a nurse and blah, blah. But, me just talking about what I gave her for Mother's Day, that is a simple conversation of me asking. Now, that's probably going into a different issue of problems, but it's not though. Because asking someone about, how the relationship is with their mother, now it could be personal, but if you're getting, you get to know someone, and you're kind of like bonding with them, and you like them and they like you, and y'all getting to know each other more and getting comfortable with each other, then you can ask those questions. Hey, how's your relationship with your mother or your dad? Oh, my dad left me when I was, dude, I didn't even get it, when we found out my mom was pregnant, I didn't even get to see him, man. I seen a picture of him, a few times, and I think I've texted him. I did text him, but that's it about my dad, man. I got a stepdad too, but I can mention that, and those conversations of me just talking about, some of the problems I might have with my childhood or my family can help me feel better, even if I don't, even if the listener or the person I'm talking to don't give me a solution and they just listen to me. Me just talking about it makes me feel better, and it makes me feel better and happy that someone asked me about it and wants to hear about it. And I've had a few people that ask me, hey, what's going on in your life and stuff like that, and they actually want to listen. And it's just stuff like that. Now, being comfortable talking about your problems will help you feel better about your problems, but it will not. Me talking, now I've had someone give me some advice about, what I could tell my mom. I actually had a few people that say, I was trying to fix my relationship with my mother, and they were saying, just tell her happy holiday, tell her all of these things, and just try to talk things out, and, try to, just try your best to try to fix the relationship, and, apologize to her, and ask her for your forgiveness for anything that you did wrong to her. No, I haven't that many people telling me that, but that was kind of me trying to figure that out for myself, because I felt bad for criticizing my mom as much as I did, and I felt like I could have treated my mom better, and so I've apologized to her for that, and I've asked her to forgive me. Now, I told her some of the issues, me just talking about my childhood with her helped me feel better about, my relationship, and I feel like it also helped me talk to her more, because I even told her, I said, I know you probably don't like me talking about the problems that I had to deal with as a kid and stuff like that, like me growing up with that dad, or, you not taking me to a doctor when I was going through puberty so I can, so I could have stopped preventing my scoliosis, so I could have been in the Air Force. Like me talking about all those things now, those are things that she can't go back in the past and change. But it's just me talking about it makes me feel better. Even if we can't go back and change it, I just want to tell her, that did bother me not having a dad. It did bother me, the fact that I had scoliosis and didn't know about it, and that I couldn't go in the Air Force even though I really wanted to. That bothered me. Now, I just wanted to tell you that. Now, I still love you as a mother, and I don't want to hold this against you, but I just wanted to talk to you about it. And that helped us get closer. And so, so I do think, talking about your problems can help you solve your problems, but it won't solve all your problems. Like some of the problems that we deal with don't even gotta be family problems. Like it could be, you could have a dirty room, you could have, a poor hygiene, or, a dirty environment if your car is dirty and stuff like that. But if you're not taking care of your environment and cleaning up your environment, and taking care of your hygiene, having a bad, terrible smell on you, and looking at your room being all messy and then disorganized and stuff like that, it can it can lower your self-esteem and make you lose some self-respect. And also having a poor diet. Now I'll get into the diet in a second, but I'll just touch on the room and keeping the environment clean. Your environment and your room especially I said this multiple times, but I see it as a reflection of our identity, our personality, our, who we are, right? Like, if, of course I want to try to keep my room clean, because cleaning my room will help clean my mind, because it's a space that I keep my mind in, and it's where I like to be, most of the time. I like to go to the park and stuff like that, or be at work, but I don't like to be working all the time. But being in a clean room can help you with your mind and help you solve some of your problems. And I even said solving easy problems, like cleaning your room, or even if it's like if you got a big messy room, and I've said this in another video, but if you got a big messy room and it seems like a big problem, just cleaning like a small part of your room, like if it's a dresser, just organizing the top of the dresser, or folding your clothes and putting them inside the dresser, even if you just take care of that small part of your room and getting that small part of your room organized and clean, that can help you, inspire you, and give you a sense of accomplishment to solve a harder problem, which is cleaning the whole room. Or if you just view cleaning your whole room as a small problem, maybe cleaning your whole room can help you solve a even harder problem, which could be, I don't know, trying to think, asking your boss for a raise if you feel like you deserve a raise. That could be a problem which could fall under lack of social skills and lack of courage, which is, I'll get into that in a second, but solving another bigger problem, which is like getting your oil changed, or I don't even want to say that, but like, what's a bigger problem than cleaning up my room? Filing taxes, that could be a bigger problem. Or, me getting my license renewed, that could be a bigger problem. Or me getting glasses. I gotta get glasses before I get my license renewed. And I haven't had glasses in a long time, but I gotta get a new pair of glasses. And that's a problem because, I have blurry vision, and if I want to drive, I need to be able to see. And so I need to take care of that problem. And then I need to get my license renewed after that. And so, that I can see that as a bigger problem than cleaning my room, or see cleaning my room as a smaller problem than that. But me taking care of these easy problems can help me take care of these harder problems in my life. Now, we do have other problems like, like I said, the poor hygiene and stuff like that. You just smelling better can help you feel better. And also, if you're someone that has lack of social skills, like you might be scared of going to job interviews, you might be scared of talking to beautiful women. Like if there's a woman that you think is beautiful, or a person that you think is beautiful, and beauty is subjective. We all have a different idea of what beauty is. We see beauty differently, but you going up to someone that you think is beautiful and telling them that you think they're beautiful can help you feel better and help them feel better, help you be more courageous and confident, and help them be more confident too in their looks and how they look, and help them feel like they're more approachable, even though we don't know who they are. But when, like, I don't get that many compliments on my looks and stuff like that, usually from older women. I mean, I've had I don't know if I've had a guy's compliment on my looks so much, but older women seems to compliment my looks a lot. But when they do, I kind of look at it, it's just old women trying to be nice to me, but it does make me feel better a little bit, and it makes me feel a little bit more approachable in terms of my looks if I had insecurity. Now, I don't think I'm as insecure as I was back in high school of my looks, because I feel like that's where, like, people getting, I'm not going to get into that, that's still different, but complimenting someone on their looks can help you be more confident and be more courageous, and help you build your social skills, have more social skills, and asking your boss for a raise, or just getting better at job interviews, or just getting better at talking to the person at the cashier if you're checking out something, or getting better at if I go to the library, if I'm checking out a book, just getting better at talking to the librarian, or the bookstore, getting, that is a way for me to work on my social skills, like asking them how their day's going and stuff like that. For sometimes I just want to buy the item that I'm buying and get out. I don't want to talk. But, doing these small things like complimenting someone's appearance, or, not being scared to ask for a raise, or doing these things can help you build your social skills. Or, being confident and comfortable talking about your problems. Because you being so open about talking about your problems can help someone come to you and talk to you about their problems. Even if they might not have anybody really in their life that they could talk to their problems about. So you being open and confident and comfortable talking about your problems can help someone come and talk to you about their problems and help them feel better. But anyway, I've already talked about that, but yeah, so lack of social skills, that could be a problem. Now, if you're unable to talk to women, that could be a problem too, but I would recommend, as a man, learn how to talk to men before you do women. uh, but everybody has their own, social skills and way they want to socialize. Some people don't want guy friends and they only want female friends, but so everyone has their own kind of different social life. Some people want a lot of friends, some people just want one or two friends and stuff like that. But what I was trying to get at though is, and then also like having a poor diet. Like if you eat nothing but junk food, that can be a problem, and that can help you. That can make you feel and like lower your self-esteem and make you feel worse about yourself. Now I think you can still, I don't know, eating a whole bunch of junk food can make you feel fat, and like as I said about looking, but being insecure about your looks and stuff like that. I still think that if I got fat, and sometimes I can still get a gut if I eat a lot, but if I got fat, that can kind of still make me insecure, even though I'm a little older. But just looking at myself being fat and out of shape, I'm like, dude, I don't like it looking like that. And so that can lower my self-esteem with just eating straight only junk food. But also it gives me brain fog, it gives me headaches, depression, and it just increases my anxiety, especially when I eat a lot more sugar. My stress increases and stuff like that. And it makes my gums feel weird when I eat a lot of sugar, and stuff like that, and like artificial. But all that stuff bothers me and it lowers my self-esteem. But when I eat now I don't eat only healthy food. I try to I eat junk food every now and then, but when I eat healthy food, I feel better. My self-esteem, I feel better about my self-esteem. I have a higher self-esteem, and I feel better about what I'm eating, and especially when I'm learning how to cook and becoming a better cook. I feel like, I'm being creative. I'm learning a new skill, and I'm, just cooking. And cooking makes me feel better. And I don't like to cook every single day, like once or twice a week, but cooking helps me feel better as a human being. And helps me have a higher self-esteem just knowing how to cook. And especially if I can cook delicious food. And cook is something, spending a lot of time cooking something and then eating it and enjoying it, and now this is delicious, I'm proud of it, sense of accomplishment. And learning how to make it better and perfecting the craft. But these are different kind of problems that we deal with, like societal problems. We can deal with money problems, we could deal with hygiene problems, cleaning problems, we could deal with different kind of problems. And I've said this before, but we will deal with problems until the day we die, right? That's just part of being human. Now I've had an older woman tell me that, and I thank her for telling me that, because because it's hard to, dude, old people, they have wisdom. And sometimes we can learn a lot just by, talking to older people and asking them, and it's just sometimes you just feel like they can be unrelatable, but then I feel like they can know more about life than younger people because they live longer. But so anyway, also I want to mention this too: smoking marijuana and eating magic mushrooms. Now I'm not abusing them and doing them every single day, waking up and doing them, and smoking weed and eating magic mushrooms and abusing them. Now sometimes I can smoke too much weed, and I'll admit that, but they can be used to help solve our problems too. I'm meaning as a creative tool, because if I were to take magic mushrooms once a month and I use it to look at my life and look at my problems and look at the different people in my life, my relationships, and all these different things, I could see things differently and have a different creative mind to be able to see things that I couldn't see before. And like magic mushrooms help me decorate my room and help me see my room as a reflection of my identity. Because before, I would just, my room, I would try to clean my room, but not that much. My room would be messy. But I had my room messy a lot, and I didn't like to clean my room. But I just got lazy, and I just didn't feel like cleaning. I mean, sometimes I get motivated, sometimes I didn't. But anyway, when I had the magic mushroom trip and I was looking at my room and looking at it as a reflection of my identity, so that way when people walk into my room, they know that it's my room, Christian's room. This is Christian's room, and I can tell just by the way it looks and how it's decorated. And because before, if you walk into my room, you couldn't tell it was my room. It was just a boring room, plain walls, no curtains, and I don't have any curtains now, but no posters, no decorations, no rugs, carpets, or any of that. And I started thinking, like, how can I decorate my room so that way when someone walks in my room, they know it's my room without me telling them? And I was like, well, putting posters up of like my favorite things, like my favorite music artist, my favorite movie, like Spider-Man. I got a Spider-Man poster. My favorite anime, Death Note. I don't know if it's my favorite, and yeah, I think it is. Demon Slayer. I had to think about it, but my favorite video game, Minecraft. Now I think my favorite video game now is Dead by Daylight. Now I might have changed it. Now my favorite music artist, Juice WRLD. I don't know if he's still my favorite, but putting posters up like that, and and especially with me, trying to be more creative and create more art, doing something like this helps me, express my my enjoyment for psychology and my curiosity, and also, me putting up like a carpet or a rug. I used to have a rug of like a magic mushroom, but it was like a UFO shaped like a magic mushroom, and I thought it was pretty cool. I used to have a magic mushroom lamp. But it would be these different things in my room that added more to my room. It added more beauty to my room, and I call it beautify. But just adding more beauty to our lives, like even just fashion. Understanding your favorite color. Like my favorite color is purple, and wearing purple clothes. Now this is the only purple shirt I have. I do wear a regular purple T-shirt, but using our favorite color can help us beautify. Like, I don't have that much purple. I mean, purple's around here for these questions, but I do feel like I should have more purple. I mean, my blanket's kind of bluish, purplish, and I got a kind of purple towel. I feel like I should have more purple in my room, but just using our favorite color can help us beautify our fashion style and how we decorate our room, and that can help us feel better as a human being and help us see ourselves too, because sometimes I feel like we can fall in the trap of seeing ourselves through the eyes of other people, and when we do that, we can get in the trap of believing everything that people say about us, which may or may not be true. But if you're looking at yourself through the eyes of other people, that's like looking at a distorted reflection of yourself, because you might be looking at yourself through the eyes of someone else who might barely know themselves. So how are you going to view yourself and how you are from someone that might not know themselves that well? So, best way to get to know yourself, I would, say or recommend is, decorating your room as, beautifying your room as a reflection of your identity. Like your favorite music artist, your favorite video game, favorite movie. And also, learning, I want to get into like books and stuff like that, or learning how to cook your favorite foods, your favorite recipe, trying different kind of recipes and different ingredients to learn what, because your taste buds are, I would say cooking is subjective too, because we all have different taste buds. What tastes delicious to my friend might not taste delicious to me, and vice versa. So learning what is delicious to you, and that's learning about yourself, can help you feel better about yourself and help you see yourself fully with a clear reflection. And also creating art, I said this before, creating a video, creating art will solve all your problems. I kind of mentioned this a lot, but me watching a video, especially being in modern, society, and we're having modern technology, I said the camera and microphone is the modern version of the pen and paper, where before I could write a journal entry of my mind, thoughts, and emotions, and see myself clearly on paper, and what I was thinking, and read them back and understand them. But now with the camera and microphone, the modern version of the pen and paper, it's a whole different kind of, now it's similar, but they do, there are differences and similarities. Now you you might like writing a journal entry and writing more than filming yourself and talking on camera. For me, I think I like both. But I think, I don't know, I'm in a mood. It depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm in the mood to only write. Sometimes I'm in the mood to only film. But I gotta say, since I'm in modern society and I have the option to film myself, I think that I like talking to the camera more than writing. But when I'm in the mood to write, I don't know, it can be mood based, but that is another way of seeing yourself with, you know, with a clear reflection, or seeing yourself fully with, you know, having a clear reflection to see yourself fully. And I feel like that's what we need to be able to see our problems and help us relieve ourselves from our, you know, the stress of our problems, help us solve our problems. And especially if we use magic mushrooms and marijuana as a tool, you know, if we don't abuse them, which, you know, I can be, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I smoke too much weed, or, you know, when I was doing magic mushrooms, you know, I was microdosing and stuff like that, but I don't think I was abusing them. I was trying to respect them, because magic mushrooms, you have to, you like literally, like if you try to take it every single day, like your tolerance gets built so quickly that like if you took it, you might feel it the second day, but it won't be as, you know, the same experience as the first day. But that third day, it won't be the same experience, and by the fourth day, you just, I mean, from what I'm told from other people that have taken it, because I did a lot of research on them, if you took them every single day, you just stop feeling them. And I learned that, you know, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. But I was like, I'm gonna take it every 3 days. You know, I was like every week or once a week, but I agreed with every 3 days. And I was microdosing, taking a very small amount every 3 days. And I was actually recording YouTube videos on microdoses. You can actually go earlier on my channel, and I had a video titled Socializing in VR Chat While Taking Microdosing Psilocybin. So I do recommend that if you want to see what I was talking about. But me doing that, I still don't think I was abusing them. Now some people can argue, but I do think though, if you use them responsibly and you respect them, that they can help you view your, get in a creative mind and view your problems differently and help you solve your problems. Like magic mushrooms, how they help me view my room differently and help me learn how I can decorate and beautify my room, and that can help me see my reflection more clearly. So I'll add this too. I feel like a problem that we could fall into is not having that many enjoyable hobbies. Now, I made a video about how to navigate your boredom, and I kind of talked about this, about developing more hobbies and stuff like that. Now, I won't be able to speak much on this topic because currently in the boat myself of trying to find new hobbies and just finding new things that I enjoy, and finding new pieces of entertainment to watch. Because if you're someone that's never watched anime for the first time, trying something new like that, that could be a new hobby, enjoyable hobby, fun hobby to have. And I do have a few anime recommendations, like Death Note. I made a Death Note video. I made a Silent Voice video. I wish I made a Demon Slayer video. But I'll make a video talking about anime recommendations. Actually, I probably will make that video, but I'll just give a few recommendations for anime for people that want to get into anime. I do recommend watching my anime videos but anyway, for the people that want to try something new and get into anime, I do recommend Death Note, Demon Slayer. These are my favorite, by the way. Death Note because it's psychological. It's about, it gets into death. The death is in the name, but it gets into, it's kind of crime based too, like detective based. So if you like mysteries, dark mystery, it's dark psychological too. So, and it's intelligent, two intelligent characters that are the battle of wit. So if you like that, two people trying to outsmart each other. I just think of a scene, man. I was thinking of the scene where they were sitting and watching, someone give a speech, and these two the two people that were, you know, trying to outwit each other were sitting next to each other, you know, just trying to be friends. But they're both suspicious of each other. But they're like, I'm not gonna like act all. I mean, there's people around, but I'm not gonna act all suspicious and be accused of you of anything. I'm just gonna be friendly. But in the back of my mind, I'm suspicious of you, and they were both like kind of like that. And it was like you could hear their thoughts, and it was interesting. But yeah, I liked watching that. And I like watching Demon Slayer just because it had beautiful animation. Like if you just want to watch some and it's so fast and so many different colors and the fights are beautiful and the story can be slow, but the story is interesting and the story is not, it can get boring sometimes, but it is still a worthy watch. It is still worth to watch, I would say. So Demon Slayer, Death Note, that I would say, I want to do one more. I would say it's silent. Yeah, I want to say a Silent Voice because it's emotional. It's about a man who bullied a deaf girl when he was young, but he felt terrible and he learned sign language and he learned how to teach deaf people. I think I'm trying to remember why he learned sign language, but he ended up there was this deaf girl that he bullied and they kind of separated, but later on in life he learned sign language and he met up with that deaf girl that he bullied, and they fall in love, and I thought it was an interesting love story. So A Silent Voice, I recommend. And A Silent Voice made me cry, by the way. And I made the video talking about this anime made me cry, so if you want to watch that. Finding new animes to watch, and also, if you're someone trying to get into reading, I do recommend trying to read on your own. And I mean, everybody has, people say that they don't like reading. Everybody has their own history with reading and how they feel about reading, but I would say I do think the school system made us hate reading. And I've said this in a few other videos, but if you can overcome that resistance and overcome those memories, because when I think about reading, I think about all those boring and tedious books that they forced me to read in school and have me overanalyze and have me take 10 tests and 10 quizzes and write a few essays and do all these things that stressed me out and made me take the joy out of reading. But when you have all that, you have all those memories of the school system making pretty much, and I'm accusing them, but I think the school system makes kids hate reading. Because if you were trying to help kids fall in love with reading, which I feel like should be the goal of the school system, or one of the goals, if you are giving them boring, tedious, old books and having them break it down, overanalyze, and just like it takes the joy out of reading. And it's just you have adults coming into adulthood that don't even want to pick up a book anymore because they didn't like reading at school. And I don't know if we could blame the teachers or the school system or the government or politicians, but I don't know, I just feel like there could have been so many more better book choices that the school system could have got us to read, that more enjoyable books that could have got more people into reading. And if I ever get the chance to change the school system, I would try to introduce more entertaining books. And I'll get into education, entertainment. I actually have a video talking about that, but there are a lot of books that I've read after I got out of school that I would have loved to read while I was in school, like The Little Prince. And I'll kind of get an idea, or The Little Prince, I'll talk about it. The Little Prince is a children's book that's meant for adults. So if you're someone trying to get back into your inner child and, learning, getting, say reading opens the imagination, I feel like that is a great book. Little Prince is for children and adults, but especially for adults, for the children that adults used to be, or for the child that adults used to be. That's what the author said. But yeah, it's a children's book meant for adults, but it's also a children's book. So yeah, I do recommend Little Prince. And a lesson that it taught me was not to take numbers seriously, which I loved, because if you think about taking, or not even math class, but think about the test scores, think about learning equations, thinking about time, looking at the clock on the wall while being in the schoolroom, thinking about like all these different, like money and stuff like that. there are different things that our school says, hey, focus on these numbers. These numbers are important. Take these numbers seriously. And this book, when you read it, it says, hey, don't take numbers seriously. And it kind of opens you up to that idea. But I would recommend that book. I would recommend Qualia the Purple, which is a manga, which is what anime is based off of. But like I said, purple is my favorite color. But this book, it kind of goes into purple because it's about this woman with purple eyes who views all human beings as robots except herself. And she also likes to work on robots at her house, and she knows how to fix. She likes it, and she knows how to. She loves it, I would say, but she knows how to fix the microwave, the fridge, the TV. All these different electronics and machines and stuff like that. She's very fascinated with that stuff. But she also has a gift, with the purple eyes, to be able to see other human beings as robots. And she has kind of special powers because she sees people differently than other people, so she can sometimes see things that other people can't. And so I find that book very interesting. I don't want to spoil it too much about what gets, but it gets dark. It seems like get into robots and action figures and stuff like that, but it gets dark. And anime is known for that too, but I do recommend that book. And then a third book, I'll give one more book recommendation. I would say Forest of Hands and Teeth, because I read that when I was homeless, living in a van in a library, and I was using that book to escape from my problems and not think about my problems anymore. And you would think, how can someone be homeless, living in a van, want to read a book? Like, why would you want to read a book? But I was like, it was a hot summer. It was hot outside. And, there was, a library with air conditioning. And I thought, I didn't want to be sitting in the library on my phone. But I didn't want to be in my van. I was DoorDashing and stuff like that to make money. But I was like, dude, I don't want to think about DoorDash. I don't want to think about money. Don't want to think about being homeless and hot in that van, even though that van had air conditioning. But I was like, I just don't want to think about that right now. And I just want to get really into a book and into another world and just forget about all my problems. And this book was perfect for that. And the book is called The Forest of Hands and Teeth, which is about a woman named Mary who's in a zombie apocalypse, but she's in a in a kind of society that has a whole bunch of walls around her, and she don't know what's outside the walls. Well, the zombies obviously, but it looks like just woods. But she's had this dream to go outside the walls and find the ocean, because she's heard stories about an ocean, but she's never seen one. And so she has a dream to escape the walls, get outside the walls, and go find the ocean. And eventually, I don't want to spoil too much, but you just learn. She learns about the secrets that her people kept, and she tries to learn more about what outside the walls. But and she's also got a boyfriend and another guy that she likes, and I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like I may be spoiling it. But if you're someone that you feel like you feel like you might be trapped inside of some walls or whatever, and you're trying to get outside the walls and see more and see the ocean like she has, because she's never seen the ocean before in her entire life. She's only heard about it, and so that was her dream. And then also learning about the mysteries and the secrets that her people kept from her. So I found that book very interesting, especially since I was in the zombies, and I'm still in the zombies. But yeah, I would recommend that. But yeah, that's what I would recommend for finding new hobbies. And then for me, finding some new stuff to watch, anime, stuff like that. But now right now I'm watching documentaries. I think I'm gonna start getting into nature documentaries, because I was watching a bee documentary yesterday, and I found that very interesting because I found out, I didn't know this, learned it yesterday, but you can learn a lot by watching a nature documentary. But apparently they had put bees into this little kind of cage thing. It was doing an experiment, and they wanted to see, they had kind of a cage for, it was kind of in the same cage, but they had a place for food, and a place with a whole bunch of balls, a place for play. And they wanted to see if the bees would go straight to the food or play first. And the bees chose to play first, which was interesting. But they had said that maybe it's because they're using this as practice, for hopping off, getting pollen, or I forgot what the word is, nectar or whatever, from the flowers and stuff like that, because that's how they got their food. Hopping from flower to flower to flower and collecting the nectar or the pollen. I'm trying to think of what the word is, but and then bringing it back to their hive. But they were saying that they were probably using that as practice. But I do find that interesting. They chose to have fun and play rather than go straight to the food. And so, just watching nature documentaries, I think I'm going to start getting into. So, you just have to try different things and things you never tried before. And who knows, you might have had a little resistance, or, you might have thought that you might not have liked it, and you tried it, and hey, you found something that you didn't know that you didn't like before, but now you like it. So it's just learning who you are, learning more about yourself, trying new things, and finding what you like and what you don't like. So also, I want to say, keeping dark secrets inside and keeping dark secrets and not talking about them with anybody, especially Jesus, is a problem. Keeping dark secrets is a problem, because if you did something that is making it hard for you to live with yourself, and you're just keeping it inside and not telling anyone, especially Jesus, then it's going to, the guilt and the regret and the resentment and the trauma and all that stuff, it's just gonna build up. And then there's a loneliness too. There's so many negative emotions that come from keeping dark secrets, and all that stuff just builds up and builds up and builds up until you just can't hold it inside anymore. Whether you just react, you get very emotional, and you have an emotional breakdown, or you have a mental breakdown, or you have a flip out, or you have a lash out, or you do something that everybody has their own way of reacting to things, and their way of dealing with emotions. But I do know, though, keeping dark secrets inside and letting the regret, resentment, the loneliness, the trauma, and the guilt all inside, keeping all of that inside, is going to build up and build up and build up. And you might even feel like you'd be able to handle it just by numbing it and suppressing it with whatever substance or drug or whatever you have. But it won't last. It won't help you deal with that. And the only person that can help you handle your dark secrets and live with your dark secrets is talking to Jesus about it, about your dark secrets, and asking him to forgive you for whatever you've done. Now I don't think everyone has dark secrets, but for people that do have dark secrets, there's something that they did that, whether it was, I already talked about mine, but everyone is different, and it might not seem big, right? Or it might not seem like extreme like some other people's. It might be something like, you might think it's a simple dark secret, but you just keeping a simple dark secret, keeping that inside and not talking to anybody about it, especially Jesus, it's gonna make it hard for you to enjoy life, hard for you to enjoy a book, hard for you to enjoy weed, hard for you, weed, I feel like if I'm using weed to escape my problem, especially if it's a dark secret I'm keeping inside and I don't want to talk to people, and I just keep smoking weed and smoking weed and smoking weed, hoping that those dark secrets go away, it won't. And I'll stop enjoying weed because I was using it too much and abusing it too much, and my tolerance is too high, and it becomes not as enjoyable. So it's gonna make you, by keeping those dark secrets inside and developing habits and hobbies just to suppress those dark secrets and not think about them, it can make it hard for you to enjoy life. Now I've already made videos talking about what to do with our dark secrets, But like I said, I recommend talking to Jesus about it and asking him for forgiveness. And then once you're comfortable talking to Jesus about your dark secrets and you've already asked him for forgiveness, I recommend telling your friends and family and people that you're close with, telling them too. Because, I mean, you don't have to, but it will help you feel better, Jesus will help you live with it. But sharing it with your friends and, your family and the people that you're close with, sharing your dark secrets with your friends and your family will bring you guys closer together. Now, it could maybe turn you guys away. Like, if I have a dark secret and I share it with my friend, and he's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore because of that dark secret that you told me. And it's like, well, were you really my friend if you don't want to be my friend with me just because of something I did in my past? Because real friends, they will listen to your dark secrets, not judge you, and still be your friend. And so, I wouldn't say use it as a test, but talking to Jesus about it and asking him for forgiveness can help you be more comfortable to talk about it with your friends and like your soulmate too. It will make it easier to have those conversations with them, and it will bring you guys closer together. I would say this too: you opening up about your dark secrets with the people around you might help inspire other people to talk about their dark secrets with you. And like I said, it would just bring y'all closer together. Trauma bonding. I think that's the word. Because nobody's perfect except for Jesus, but we all make mistakes, and learning to live with our mistakes can be hard sometimes, but talking to other people about our mistakes and we can find relatability, that's what I would recommend.